on the free Odyssey app.
Well, AccuWeather says going to be blustery, chilly with clouds and some sun. Could get a little morning rain, maybe a snow shower in spots, high 43 degrees. Tonight you get your patchy clouds, brisk and cold, low 30 in the city, 20 in the burbs. Tomorrow, plenty of sunshine, less wind, high 45. Thursday, mostly sunny, 43. Friday, sunshine mixing with a few clouds, high near 40. Pretty nice rest of the way. More people get their news from 1010 Winds than from any other radio station in the nation. Gary Souders, our service aide. Walter Geis is our senior writer. Jim Maloney at the editor's desk. And I'm Scott Stanford.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Winds at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good morning. 39 degrees, cloudy skies. It is 7 o'clock on this Tuesday, December 19th. I'm Susan Richard. Here's what's happening. Police asking for help catching 4 suspects wanted in a violent home invasion on Staten Island that saw a child pistol whipped. Our Glenn Shuck coming up. No school in Paterson, New Jersey today. The mayor there has declared a state of emergency due to flooding. The TSA heading to Newark Airport with tips for holiday travelers. We got a preview. We'll tell you what they said. Mayor Adams says a bill that would require the NYPD to report low-level encounters with the public. No way he's signing that. Alec Baldwin gets into it with pro-Palestinian demonstrators near Penn Station.
You can love Israel.
We'll tell you what happened. In sports, Knicks won, Nets lost. Monday Night Football, Seahawks shock the Eagles 20-17. AccuWeather, still the chance for a morning rain or snow shower in spots. Otherwise, clouds and some sun today, the high 43. Winds News Time 7:01. Traffic and transit on the ones. Here's Sue Aller.
And here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. We're looking at 45 minutes to the upper level of the George Washington Bridge, 30 to the lower. You also have 30 inbound at the Lincoln, and the Holland Tunnel comes in at about 40 minutes. Now, your lower East River crossings, they're doing fine, but not fine heading into Brooklyn at the Brooklyn-bound Verrazano Bridge. Upper level, there is a breakdown, and it's in the HOV lane. The lower level is a much better ride. Let's take it over to Westchester, where we still have those ongoing flooding issues. The Sawmill River Parkway is closed both ways between Executive Boulevard and Lawrence Street. You can avoid this by sticking with the New York State Thruway. Then in Paterson, New Jersey, northbound Route 20 at 5th Avenue. All lanes right now, just getting word, they're shut down too because of those flooding problems. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. The westbound side of the LI East slows down Glen Cove Road into Queens. The westbound side of the Northern slows down from the LIE connector into Queens, and you're actually in pretty good shape on the Southern State Parkway. Odyssey Lottery Recap presented by Jackpot. Get Powerball is now $572 million, and Mega Millions is now $41 million. Order official state lottery games on your phone. Must be 18 or older to play. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. I'm Sue Aller. Next report at 7:11. 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
The NYPD asking for help finding the 4 people who brutalized a family during a home invasion on Staten Island.
A terrifying ordeal in the middle of the night for this family. 4 men kicking in the front door, 3 of them with guns in hand. And then moments later, this home invasion did turn violent. A 33-year-old woman and a 5-year-old little girl believed to be mother and daughter were then left bleeding on the floor, pistol whipped in the face, cut and bruised. A 54-year-old man and a 4-year-old little boy, also part of the family, were not injured as these suspects grabbed cell phone and were looking for money before they left. In fact, the mother and daughter were injured so badly they did have to go to the hospital. Cops in the 121st Precinct have released surveillance video of the suspects. Very shocking. It's going to be up on our website. Now, what's unclear right now, was his family targeted or was this random? Glenn Shuck, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM on Staten Island.
Well, the drenching storm finally eased, but there are still concerns about flooding in Paterson, New Jersey, where Mayor Andre Saya has declared a state of emergency.
We are thankful for the fact that it stopped raining for several hours, which has helped our efforts. But quite frankly, like I said, we're just going to keep our eyes on the river.
Well, because many roads and bridges are closed, Paterson schools are closed today, and they're not the only community dealing with post-storm problems.
The water's never this aggressive. We never see it this high.
Joe Petty is talking about the dam near his house in Pines Lake. It's flowing more than usual after this storm.
There's a lot of small areas of water that feed Pines Lake, and each and every one of them are overflowing and roaring right now.
Lakeside communities there, like Pompton Lakes, warned residents about lakes rising to their peak Tuesday. Joe's trying to pump out his backyard, which got about 10 inches of floodwater.
I know there's been complaints of neighbors along the lake that saying that the water's been rising up on their property properties. It's usually this overflow here keeps up with the rush, but today, for this particular storm, apparently it is not.
Christy Clishian, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey.
Ahead of the holiday travel rush, the TSA and Port Authority are out with tips for airline passengers. TSA spokeswoman Lisa Farbstein.
If you do find yourself in the line, use that time to your advantage. That's the ideal time to take items out of your pockets and put them directly into a carry-on bag. That way, when you get up to the stainless steel tables, you have a head start.
She says don't wrap gifts because if it triggers an alarm, it's just going to get unwrapped. Remember, you're limited to 3.4 ounces of liquids, gels, and aerosols. The TSA and Port Authority will have more on all this today at Newark Airport. Also at Newark today, Josh Gottheimer. He'll be warning of potential problems that he says may be caused by the shortage of air traffic controllers. Mayor Adams threatening to veto a city council bill that would require the NYPD to report low-level encounters with the public.
They're called Level 1 and Level 2 interactions. Officers talking to people for investigations but not arresting them. Councilwoman Alexa Avila says it's significant for transparency.
If there is an investigative purpose to a stop, then it would ask you to capture this data.
Their race, where and why they're being stopped, and if there was any use of force.
It's something that can be done relatively quickly because it is so discreet.
Mayor Adams told CBS 2 there's no way he would sign the bill.
You have a missing child. You go and speak with people. Do you know this child we're trying to find? Each interaction, you're going to have to file a report.
Aviles insists it would be quick and easy for officers to report the information and that it wouldn't apply to casual conversations. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
There's an arrest in a string of armed robberies and carjackings in Brooklyn and Queens. 30-year-old Franco Neves was picked up in Yonkers on Sunday and is charged in several holdups, including one in October, in which he allegedly swiped more than $350,000 in diamonds and gold rings from a jewelry store. Cops say he fired his gun during that crime. Neves is now being held without bail. The search for a 3-year-old allegedly abducted by her mother now over. Cadence, France, was brought by another family member to a police station on Staten Island. Cops say 26-year-old Randelli Rhodes, who does not have custody, took off with the toddler from outside the home of the girl's father in St. George Saturday afternoon. The child's okay. Cops are now looking for the mother. 39 degrees. It is cloudy. The humidity 61%. The winds are north at 6. AccuWeather. Still the chance for a morning rain or snow shower in spots. Otherwise, we'll see a mix of clouds and sun today with a high of 43. Then patchy clouds tonight. 30 in town. 20s in some of the suburbs. Sunny, less windy, and 45 tomorrow. Again, 39 degrees in Central Park. Wednesday News Time 7:07. The answer is no to Donald Trump's latest bid to end his civil fraud trial here in New York.
Judge Arthur Engoron denying Trump's request for a directed verdict, which is when a party asks a court to rule in their favor because the case against them is insufficient. Engoron, however, not only ruling against Trump, but opting to criticize the credibility of one of his expert witnesses who testified that Trump's financial records showed no accounting fraud. Engoron stating that all the testimony proves is that, quote, for $1 million or so, some experts will say whatever you want them to say. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
In response, NYU professor Eli Bartof claimed that the judge had mischaracterized his testimony. Closing arguments in this trial scheduled for January 11th. Former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows has lost his attempt to have his election interference case in Georgia moved to federal court.
Mark Meadows' lawyers argue that since he was a federal officer serving as then President Trump's Chief of Staff, only a federal court could hear the case. The appeals court rejecting the claim, saying the charged Georgia attempted election interference would be a criminal action that was not related to Meadows' official White House job. Barring any further appeals, Meadows will have to face trial in Georgia.
Correspondent Andy Field. Meadows is accused of violating Georgia's RICO law while also trying to solicit Republican Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to violate his oath of office. That is over the phone call in which both Meadows and Donald Trump were taped pressing Raffensperger to find the 11,780 votes needed to overturn the election results in that state. The head of the CIA now in Europe for talks with Israeli and Qatari officials. This is to try and reach a new deal to get Hamas to release more of the hostages from Gaza.
Hamas released a new video showing 3 elderly hostages it's holding. Hamas says it will not negotiate more hostages return until the fighting stops.
We must take a stand.
The world is watching us now. This includes our enemies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran.
There are still crucial questions as to how Israel's military mistakenly shot and killed 3 hostages last week.
Skylar Henry reporting. Separately, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has announced a new multinational naval task force to deal with Houthi attacks against commercial ships in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. He says this will build on the already existing Task Force 153 that was established years ago to counter the piracy threat in that region.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this quick snippet of today's New York Metropolitan Area News on 1010 Wins. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next video.